As a coach, you impact what happens on the field, but you also have great influence over what your players do away from practice. They look at you like they do a teacher, so use that role as an authority figure to instill good habits. Use breaks during and after practice to talk about how to stay healthy on and off the field. Your athlete should begin each day fully rested. Kids at this age need 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night. This is a huge part of mental and physical recovery. Your players typically have at least some control over their diet, so talk about making good choices when it comes to breakfast and other meals they may choose for themselves. Tell them to have fruit or vegetables with every meal and avoid junk food and soda, especially leading into practices and games. Proper hydration starts before players ever run out onto the field and is important to prevent dehydration and heat-related illness. Encourage them to drink lots of water or sports drinks and build more breaks into your schedule on hot days. As a coach teaching contact or non-contact games, kids will come in contact with each other and fall to the ground. Bruises are synonymous with athletes no matter what activity they are doing. Teach them about the difference between being hurt, where they may need a few minutes to recover, and being injured, where they should stop playing and see a doctor. It's also very important to speak with parents and make sure they are aware of any injuries or symptoms the athlete may have experienced or shared during a practice or a game. Never hesitate to call additional medical assistance anytime you are unsure of the severity of an injury. Be sure to familiarize yourself with your league and facility emergency action plan so you will feel more confident handling any situation that might arise. Finally, it's important to recognize that studies show it's at this age that athletes begin using performance-enhancing drugs. Be sure to make it clear that PEDs are not only illegal in sports, but also put players' health at risk.
In today's volatile foreign exchange market, we need to work harder to protect against currency fluctuations. At AFEX, we do the hard work for you. By understanding where your exposure lies, we will create a tailor-made strategy to fit your needs. Our customized solutions are designed to take the uncertainty out of your global payments so that you can stay focused on the road ahead. Call our team today for a free risk management consultation.
By 2020, rapid growth markets will account for 50% of global GDP, will be responsible for 38% of world consumer spending and 55% of world fixed capital investment. New markets mean new opportunities and new challenges. New challenges don't have to be scary. With the right information and the right guide, finding the right opportunity becomes much easier. Ernst & Young can help your business navigate through these new markets because our people are there, making connections and doing business in over 140 countries. So you can benefit from this, we've brought this global knowledge together in our innovative Emerging Markets Centre. Ernst & Young's Emerging Markets Centre gives you access to a dedicated team of experienced professionals with local insights, local contacts, and global knowledge. As a hub, you can tap into the latest market information, trends, and identify opportunities to suit your business. You can access in-depth analysis, reports, and use our dynamic tools to give your business that essential know-how that's needed to cross borders. So next time you go to market, make sure you go to emergingmarkets.ey.com first. It's your connection to the world's fastest growing markets.
APR doesn't stand for astronauts piloting rickshaws. It stands for annual percentage rate, which calculates the total interest you'll pay over the entirety of your loan, including any additional fees. When you know exactly what you're getting into, it's easy to get into a Ford.
There's new legal precedent sweeping the nation and directly impacting Chapter 7 bankruptcy. It's called bifurcation. Bifurcation is defined as the division of something into two branches or parts. For the Chapter 7 bankruptcy business, bifurcation involves separating your legal fees into pre-petition services and post-petition services. Case law shows courts accepting bifurcation all across the country. Bifurcation is better for the client and for the attorney. Here's why. Picture a typical Chapter 7 bankruptcy. When an attorney meets with a potential Chapter 7 debtor, they deal with the typical money problems. My debt is too much. I don't have the money. My wages are going to be garnished. Debtors are too broke to file bankruptcy. The typical debtor attorney's focus has been on receiving all legal fees pre-petition. Now, your Chapter 7 clients can pay for their bankruptcy for up to 12 months after their case is filed. Plus, you don't have to put your money or the filing fee at risk. BK Billing allows you to get paid your attorney's fees up front while your client pays over time, and protects you from when clients don't pay. BK Billing will help you bifurcate in your bankruptcy district, and they know what case law applies to you. Now, by separating your pre-petition services and post-petition services, BK Billing solves the problems your clients have. My debt is too much. No problem. I don't have the money to pay you up front to file. No problem. I have to file before my next wage garnishment. No problem. BK Billing finances this type of client and provides you with the operating capital necessary to grow your business and serve more people.
At the end of communism, we had, a feeling that sort of rights and choices were finally secured to us, and that suddenly a possibility of social change might happen. But today, there is less and less of a feeling that choice is actually related to social change. There has been a lot of current debates in the domain of psychology, behavioral economics, and so on, why we feel so overwhelmed in front of choices. And every one of you probably has had the same experience of going into a supermarket and just being, horrified by the choices. So psychologists, of course, have seen that overwhelming choice creates the feeling of anxiety in regard to what do I really want. But it also sort of, in some way, pacifies people. People are quite often frozen in some kind of a state of undecisiveness when there are too many choices. So what is happening on the level of society when we have an ideology which dominates the idea of choice at every level of our lives? That suddenly an idea of choice becomes, in a way, a domineering idea on which capitalism today is based, not only in regard to consumption, but in regard to perception of life as such. So I remember my law professor colleague, a very successful man, once told me that he is totally anxious to choose wine in a restaurant. He said, I'm afraid that people will laugh at me. If I choose too expensive one, I will appear as if I'm showing off. If I choose too cheap, I will look like I'm a cheapskate. So he always chooses something in the middle and insists on paying for it in order to appease the anxiety and the guilt in regard to this choice. Now, when we say that we are afraid that other people will laugh at us in regard to our choices, we invoke the need to be somehow regarded by others and also to be sort of perceived by society as such, what in Lacanian psychoanalysis is called big other in a particular way. So choices are anxiety-provoking for a couple of reasons. First, we never make simply an individual choice. It's not simply us as individuals outside of society making choices, but quite often we choose what other people are choosing, or we are obsessed with how will others regard us in regard to our choice. So that's one anxiety-provoking thing about choice, that is a very, social matter. Now, the second anxiety-provoking thing about choices today is that we try to make an ideal choice, which is why people are constantly, for example, switching telephone providers or, going from one partner to another and always feel dissatisfied. The third most important thing about choice is that choice always involves a loss. So when I choose one direction in life, I lose the possibility of another. And dealing with loss is something that is highly anxiety-provoking today. And of course, at the end, the loss, which we all have to face where there is no choice, is death. But even with that, we try to sort of mastermind it, prolong it, try ways to control death, and so on. there is also a very important another layer of anxiety which operates in the way choice is presented in society. And here I touch the issue of ideology. Now, in socialism, especially in Yugoslavia where I was raised, no one believed in communist ideal. Even party apparatchiks never read Marx or Lenin. It was actually quite dangerous to read them. So the belief in ideology of communism was something people innerly didn't internalize. But then nonetheless a certain logic of belief functioned. The idea that people quite often do not believe in something, but they pretend as if they are believing in order not to offend the idea that other people might believe in it. Or in socialism, let's say no one believed in communism, but no one sort of uttered it, with the exception of some intellectual dissidents, openly, because they believed in the belief of others, or an idealized big other which supposedly holds society together. Now, today, this belief in belief still very much functions. Let us look at today's perception of sexuality. Not long ago, a British journalist wrote an essay in which he described honestly that his sex life is pretty boring. He said, when I compare my sex life with what's written in Cosmopolitan magazine or other men magazine, how it should be, what are the enjoyments out there possible, I am embarrassed to admit to anyone that I have never come close to those enjoyments depicted, and which is why I keep this secret to myself. But nonetheless, when one does not sort of utter it publicly, we sort of create a belief in the belief that sexuality can be something full of, fantastic experiences. Now, similarly, today we have an ideology, especially this ideology of choice, which forces us to perceive ourselves being guilty for the failures in our life, especially our professional life. Nowadays, if you lose a job, you will first blame yourself, not the corporation which fired you. We also feel ashamed for being poor. If even decades ago there was some kind of identification with being working class, now it's more the feeling of inadequacy, of not making it. Now, ideology of capitalism from the beginning capitalized on the idea that everyone can make it. And the idea of self-made man was the cornerstone of this ideology. But today this idea of self-making has been pushed to its utter limits. So the idea that everyone can become a celebrity, everyone can make it very much dominates today's society. Now, especially the celebrity thing is very interesting because, in the past people would sort of want to be famous for something, for doing something, for having some education or some special skills. Now it's to be famous for just being, you don't need to be anything else but, contested in Big Brother or whatever. So psychoanalysis, of course, has been observing these changes in the society and also in the individual. And what interests me is to bring them together. Now, Freud pointed out that malaise in civilization and the malaise of individual always go together. So one influences the other. Capitalism is actually creating some kind of a subjectivity which starts in a way ruining him or herself. Capitalism is a system which functions quicker and quicker. We work longer hours, we are rushing around, and we are constantly consuming. But at some point, this subject starts believing that he is not simply a proletarian slave, but that he is a master, that he is in charge of his life. And that's a very important ideological turn, which sort of allows, the system to go on and creates more and more, let's say, kind of a submission on the side of people. The belief that you are actually in charge, although you aren't, it's a very important belief. Also that more and more this overworked subject starts not only consuming constantly around him, but also consuming him or herself, which is why bulimia, anorexia, workaholism, various addictions become so prevalent in today's society. So the turn sort of to oneself, the self-criticism, feeling guilty for one's failure, anxiety over choices, and various new symptoms were, guiding me in looking at why ideology of choice is actually not so optimistic ideology and why it actually prevents social change. Now, the political problem, why there is such a lack of social changes happening today. Some sociologists who have looked at this matter realize that sometimes this fear is related again with loss. Now, we might have a little, we might have a small job, a little pension or whatever, and when you have a little, you might be so much more afraid to lose even that little which you have, which is why you do not stick your neck out and you don't sort of provoke social change or try to organize yourself that would provoke social change. So today, the problem is actually, for me, that today's ideology of choice, late capitalism idea that everyone is a maker of his or her life, which goes very much against the reality of social situation, actually pacifies people and makes us constantly turning criticism to ourselves instead of organizing ourselves and making a critique of society we live in.
Our story begins almost 150 years ago, in the heart of what would soon become a great city, where the deaconesses cared for those in need. No one really knows what caused the Great Chicago Fire that destroyed their tiny hospital, but out of the ashes came the promise of something more. First came Passavant, then Wesley, both taking root as two of the city's most respected hospitals. Then, patient care was connected to teaching and research through a partnership with Northwestern University's medical school, paving the way for advancements that would modernize medicine. Meanwhile, on a farm far north of the city, the turn-of-the-century Alice Home Hospital was the seed that grew into Lake Forest Hospital. But we'll get back to that in just a bit. We did more than change our name in 1972 when we became Northwestern Memorial Hospital. We came together around a mission that put our patients at the center of everything. We planned for the healthcare needs of those around us with new facilities, new programs, and pioneering treatments that would put us on the map as a destination for world-class care. And continued our tradition of making quality care available to those who needed it, regardless of the ability to pay. Which brings us back to Lake Forest Hospital, the healthcare leader in Lake County, a community hospital pretty far ahead of its time. We came together as a health system, with both hospitals carrying the consumer's stamp of approval, most preferred. So if you take a step back to look at the big picture, you'll see how it's all coming together. As a system, we're opening access to Northwestern care. It's a pretty exciting view when you look to the future. You can see it in the Feinberg School classrooms, where medical students are learning about quality and safety, and they're being exposed to patient care much earlier in their education. You can see it in the research labs, where today's discoveries can get to our patients at the soonest and safest point possible. And you can see it in our hospitals, where we aspire to achieve the exceptional. We celebrate thousands of people who make a difference at work and who serve our community through generous gifts of talent and time. And we celebrate the teamwork that has helped us all earn important recognition, like US News. But recognition is only part of who we are and where we want to go. With our partners at the Feinberg School, we're well on our journey to become one of the country's great academic medical centers. Each one of us has an important role. Think about an orchestra. As the musicians tune and get ready for a performance, you hear this. And this. Then this. That's all of us together, making an impact as Northwestern Medicine.
Introducing the Cisco Mobility Express solution, a fast and efficient way to get Wi-Fi working for more businesses. With this solution founded on Cisco's industry-leading technology, we can provide smaller businesses an enterprise-level wireless experience at a price that aligns to their needs. Without requiring any controller appliance, customers can mobilize their wireless communications in minutes. And that includes support for up to 25 access points deployed with a user-friendly web-based platform. This opportunity we've created to benefit smaller businesses also creates one for us. By gaining presence in this market that perceives Cisco as too expensive or too complex, we can prove this wrong and stand to gain $75 million, a 1 to 1.5% share, and it can only grow from there. The market's demand for an improved workflow experience is rapidly increasing, as is the traffic caused by faster mobile and progressive devices. The Cisco Mobility Express solution can help companies better manage this fast-moving environment by empowering users with the right applications on their device of choice, wherever and whenever needed. Its affordability allows you to sell to smaller accounts while still offering the enterprise-grade value of Cisco reliability. Some scenarios that would benefit from streamlined collaboration and business interactions include retail sites, offering mobile device self-checkout to service customers. Hospitality, to scale Wi-Fi up or down and offer services like guest Wi-Fi. Schools, for supporting learning on mobile devices and data-rich digital textbooks. The Cisco solution grows with your customer and offers the opportunity to upsell when needed. The Cisco AeroNet 802.11 AC Wave 2 access points lets them easily transition to a controller-based model. And you can help IT deliver greater business value with Mobility Express, complemented with the latest release of Cisco Connected Mobile Experiences. With this easy-to-deploy solution, IT can cost-effectively capture presence analytics and share insightful reports with their business stakeholders on the number of visitors, dwell time, and more. We have to act quickly as our product deploys and become the leader in providing the perfect wireless solution for smaller businesses. Learn more about Essential Wireless for Fast IT at www.cisco.com/go/wireless.
We find the quality problems faced by IT projects extremely interesting, and that's because there's a sheer amount of methodologies and processes, mountains of documentation, yet rarely are there any projects with no quality problems. In fact, more than 90% of the IT projects miss at least one, if not all, of the three major targets. Budgets are overrun, deadlines are missed, and production defects are abundant. Billions of dollars are spent on IT quality. Companies invest in sophisticated tools, expensive training, and cumbersome processes. Yet the results are dismal. Why is that? Are we not spending enough? Do we need even more complicated processes? Do we need more training? We found these questions absolutely fascinating, and after more than 10 years of research, we know now that the answer is far simpler and has nothing to do with spending more money or the type of methodology you choose to use in your projects. See, we researched dozens of projects, both successful or not, and among them, a few in which quality skyrocketed, costs were reduced, and timelines were consistently met. And we arrived at startling, yet simple and undeniable theories. But we didn't stop there. We went on to prove them by applying them in practice, and successfully and repeatedly replicated the results of the best projects. What follows are the three most important factors that make or break the quality of your projects. Number one is discipline. The very best athletes in the world know that the secret to being the best is to master the fundamentals. Michael Jordan's secret to being the best is that he focused every day on mastering the simplest moves. That's it. Just execute the basics a little better every day. Well, the same thing applies to testing. Yeah, we've experienced ourselves the trap of wanting fancier tools and processes, until we found that the type of processes and methodologies implemented didn't make a material difference in the success of the project. What mattered far more was how disciplined the teams were about correctly implementing the processes. Once we understood this concept, we've executed for our clients several projects in which we didn't change the existing methodology present at the client, but we applied it religiously with attention to executing the fundamentals well. And we ensured that everyone on the project applied them with unwavering discipline. And the results were astounding. Quality improved immensely. Production defects were reduced by a staggering 95%. Number 2 is detailed measurements. Now, you wouldn't fly a plane without very accurate dashboard instruments that show you the state of the plane every second. So why are we running IT projects without detailed measurements? The vast majority of projects rely on only a handful of weekly or monthly statistics, which are mostly snapshots in time, or cover the history of the project under development. That's like trying to cure cancer based on the history of one single patient. We discovered that a deep dive into the historical data available over several years will naturally bring the Pareto principle to life and reveal 1 or 2 sources of 80% of your problems. If you have clear visibility into the trends of key quality metrics over a longer period of time, you'll have a clear understanding of what the problems are and how to solve them. It always works and always will. And in our experience, these problems, once understood, can be fully corrected within 1 year. Number 3 is empower your QA practitioners. When you treat people like kids, you get kids' work. Yet, that's what a lot of companies do to their QA practitioners. Good QA work requires not just discipline, but also creativity and initiative. We've worked with a client where the frontline and middle management empowered the QA team, and as a result, they owned their work and they took pride in what they did. The project was a wild success with 0 production defects. But for the next project, the management changed and the new style of testing imposed was rigid and uninspiring. As a result, the quality of the next project was the worst the company has ever seen. We've found the most simple yet effective ways to empower QA teams, and they always energize teams to take pride in a bug-free application, and the results are phenomenal. We've directly applied these 3 factors to clients' projects and have seen how they can really bring out the value of existing methodologies without spending more money, and how they've brought to light the immense value of the QA teams for our clients, and have saved countless millions of dollars, as well as improved the production quality of IT projects. These are the kind of benefits we love to produce for our clients, and we look forward to hearing your stories and feedback. If you have particularly challenging situations, we'll be glad to discuss and share these strategies within your specific context.
Say hello to Betty. She loves her home, and at 84, she's as fiercely independent as ever. Betty's daughter Carol knows her mom can take care of herself, but worries about her living alone. Betty enjoys hearing from her daughter, but lately their phone calls are more like a health questionnaire than a real conversation. Well, now there's a less intrusive way for Carol to care for her mom without compromising her privacy. Tempo from CarePredict is a wonderful new way for seniors to stay safe in their own homes. This attractive wrist-worn sensor looks like regular jewelry and monitors motion, sitting, lying down, and location in the home, plus activities, cooking, eating, and more. Tempo learns the individual rhythms of Betty's life during the first week, then alerts Carol to any changes in Betty's normal patterns. It even notices subtle gradual changes, like walking slower or cooking less. These quality-of-life indicators help predict when Betty may need care. Tempo comes fully set up, charges simply without wires or cords, and sends out a reminder if Betty forgets to wear it. It's as easy to use as plugging in a lamp. Now when her daughter calls, Betty can just enjoy talking about the grandkids, because Carol already knows that all is well with her mom.
Worry less and catch small concerns before they become big problems. Provide just-in-time care for your loved ones with Tempo by CarePredict.
Public administrations are striving hard to have state-of-the-art ICT systems supporting efficient services for citizens and businesses. Within the European Union, we travel, study, and do business across countries. Therefore, there's a need for common and interoperable e-government solutions in Europe. However, most countries have built their national e-systems separately. And sometimes it doesn't work. How can we build an interoperable Europe? Firstly, we need to make sure that machines can talk to each other by using interoperable software. Otherwise, secondly, we need syntactical and semantic conventions. That means we need to agree on the language and the format to use to exchange information and to translate it automatically. Otherwise, and finally, we should follow the same rules. Otherwise, if we join forces on these three levels, we achieve the harmonious collaboration we're looking for. An interoperable Europe. Interested?
If you're overwhelmed by the chaos and clutter in your home, it's time for a change. Let Closet Factory transform your space. Imagine starting your day with a calm, organized space that simplifies your routine and sets you up for a productive day. For 40 years, we've designed, manufactured, and installed custom solutions for every room in your home. Closets can weigh as much as a refrigerator. Imagine hanging that on a wall. That's why we offer floor-based solutions. Our design consultants work with you to create a custom solution meeting your unique needs and fitting seamlessly into your space. All of our manufacturing is done in-house in our local factory, ensuring the highest quality service possible. Working with local partners, we offer low pricing on premium grade materials. We're so confident in our product quality, we provide a lifetime transferable warranty, meaning you can rest easy knowing that your investment is protected. The result is a beautifully organized, simplified space that's easy to navigate, brings peace, productivity, and joy, and takes you closer to your dream home. Welcome to the Closet Factory family. Don't forget to ask how our referral program rewards you for sharing the love. Say goodbye to the clutter and hello to peace of mind with Closet Factory.
There are some great online buying and selling platforms out there, but they have one big problem in common. They don't work well on mobile. They load slowly, listings are hard to browse, and on top of all that, they charge too much in fees. Nibbit is the buying and selling app we've all been waiting for. It's totally free for both buyers and sellers, easy to use, and was born on mobile. So using it from your phone is always a smooth experience. If you're a seller, you can take a picture of any item you want to sell, pick a category to list it in, and then load it up. Ads are shareable on social media, and with mobile popularity increasing every day, the opportunity couldn't be bigger. If you're a buyer, you can search items for sale by keyword, category, or distance from your location, and then simply browse the photos that come up. And since every ad is geotagged, you can see all of the items for sale in your area easily. When you find something you like, there are no phone or email hassles and no fees whatsoever. You just use Nibbit's chat function to send a quick message to the seller and work out a deal. Sign up is super fast and can be done in seconds with Facebook or Google+. Download Nibbit for free on your Apple or Android device and get started today. Nibbit, the mobile flea market.